Right.
I think we're good now.
Okay, that means we're live.
Okay. I'll call the meeting to order today, November 10th, and request if we've met the Open Meeting Act requirements and notice.
I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice of the meeting was provided.
Okay.
So I'm going to call roll to ensure that we have a quorum. Board Member Romy. Board Member Martins.
Present.
Board Member Noonan.
Present.
Board Member Manley.
Present.
Chair Kitchen.
Present.
So we have 4 members present, and we have met our obligations under the Kansas Open Meeting Act, so we have jurisdiction to move forward and consider today's business.
Okay. Everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from October 13th, and does anybody have any changes or suggestions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I wasn't here, so.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the October 13th minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Okay, and then we'll move on to new business, 3.1.
We have a public hearing item today for you to consider. It's a certificate of compatibility application, and it's been filed by David Bieberly of Bieberly Architects on behalf of First Harvest Wealth Management Group. And the request is for board approval of a certificate of compatibility to allow exterior facade modifications and new exterior signage on the front facade of a building that's located in the 100 block of North Santa Fe on the east side of Santa Fe north of Iron. And this occupies the south half of lot 97, so that means it is a 25-foot storefront that faces Santa Fe Avenue. We've provided you with a little bit of history on this building. Our records that we have on hand indicate that this structure was built in approximately 1886 as a 2-story replacement for a 1-story barbershop that was located on this same site. It's been used for a variety of businesses. I think the most notable business that people have memories of here was Deal's Gifts. And when it was Deal's Gifts, the upper storefront had been covered with a metal facade, and we have a not great photograph of that just shows that when it did operate as Deal's Gifts, they essentially had a metal panel or metal flatwork over the upper story. That upper story was uncovered in 1994, and there was a metal canopy that was also removed. This exposed the original construction on the upper floor facade. The original double-hung windows from the building remain in place. According to our records, in the 1990s, this became the location of Doug Stein's Edward Jones Financial Advisors Agency. There was a interior remodel that was done for a massage therapy business. I don't know how long that lasted there. And then in December of 2021, this property was purchased by the current owner, St. Pendo 5 LLC, Steve Brown, and that is the current owner and applicant. In 1985, when the city performed an historic resources inventory, this property was identified as a conservation property, which means it is protected from demolition without review and approval by the Salina Heritage Commission. So the plan for this building involves both interior and exterior renovations. The building owner is proposing to demolish and rebuild the first floor storefront and entryway, install replacement windows and a new front entry door. We have elevation drawings depicting the before and after in your packet. We just highlight some of the items because the text on there is kind of small, but the plan is to remove existing storefront windows and install new energy efficient windows, remove the entry door storefront system, install a restored front entry door in its place, enlarge the footprint of the entry lobby, add 2 faux columns at the end of the entry leading into the building, restore the glass block signage band above the first floor. There's a plan for new exterior lighting, and then there's an overall plan to tuck point existing brick, install new cornice stone sign block, and install a new natural wood bulkhead. So because we are in the downtown business improvement district, review and approval of exterior facade changes is required by the design review board before any exterior work can begin. So we've summarized how we think this project relates to the design guidelines for downtown. As we looked at this building, the upper story seems to be largely intact. The first floor has been altered over time. The storefront renovations that are proposed are pretty consistent with what's been happening downtown as a whole. The only concern or questions we had was about the use of natural wood bulkhead along the front of the building. Wood is not a traditional exterior building material in Salina's downtown, and so we'd request that the applicant or the architect provide additional information about the durability and weather-resistant characteristics of this wood material. The other questions we have deal with our design guidelines recommend, when possible, preservation of character-defining features that are intact. And so we'd like some additional information about the replacement windows proposed for the upper floor, why the existing ones can't be retained, and how the new windows would differ in appearance from what's there today. And then from the application, we weren't able to tell much about what was proposed in the way of exterior lighting, so we would like the applicant's architect to discuss what's planned in the way of lighting. So with that, we would be open to any questions you have about staff's report or the graphics in the packet. And if there are none, we'd like to hear from the applicant or the architect about the upper story windows, the use of wood on the bulkhead, and what the plans are for lighting.
Okay. Well, I guess from the board, I have a few questions, but I'll.
Well, I think mine would be from the applicant primarily.
Oh, okay. So I am just clarifying, their sign is not part of this request, right? It is just the renovations of the building itself?
We are treating the sign as if it's part of this request because it's part of the elevations that's put before you. They can clarify that as whether they want to come back with a more detailed plan for that, but we were interpreting the elevation changes to the front as including a new front wall sign.
Okay. My second question for you, Dean, is while you say in your notes and what you said today from staff that it is not the bulkheads are not out of wood, is not a traditional feature in downtown currently, and I would agree with that. Historically, has that been the case? Because to me, I feel like this looks like more of what historically may have existed in the past?
I think that's probably correct. If you go back to the time of original construction or the early 20th century, then I would certainly feel that on a building that's of 1886 vintage, probably at some time during its life, these wooden features were probably present.
Okay, and then my final question is on the durability and weather resistance. I understand that wood obviously it can have more issues with water, moisture, and dry rot and other things. But, you know, the majority of homes sitting in town are made of wood. So I just was trying to understand the distinction from downtown and the concern with wood downtown, since, you know, many of our buildings in town are made of wood.
Well, there are a number of new products on the market that are cementous or masonry based, and most of the facade renovations that have been done to date have incorporated some of those materials, either cast stone or things that are even in new home construction. There's new wood or wood-like siding that's not made out of wood, that's cementous material. So our main concern or comment was that as we reviewed this and looked at the number, which we have done a substantial number of reviews for storefront renovations, this was only the second one that we found that had some, not as wood already in existence, but introducing wood as a new exterior material.
Okay, so I guess what is the concern then with wood that an owner may or may not? You want to
No, I mean,
follow up?
is it the natural aspect of it, is
Yeah,
not being painted? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I'm
It
trying
has
to-
more to do with what was mentioned. It's just with it, wood materials are more susceptible to
Apron strings, all this.
not standing up to the elements affected by sun, affected by dry
Being the
rot,
natural element of
moisture.
it? Or-
Right,
okay.
and just going up and down the Santa Fe streetscape, most of the facades at street level are masonry
Yeah.
or cast stone or
I know
some
this.
Aluminum or
masonry-based
something.
material.
Yeah.
Well, I know the ones down there with apron strings and barren mushroom, that's all had those are wood down there, recently, but that's, but they're painted and stuff, so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone else have questions?
So you mentioned, Dean, another project that came forward with wood, with natural wood.
That was the Hive that was on east side of South Santa Fe, and that was proposing, instead of on the bulkhead, it was in the area above the first floor storefront. But we asked for some additional information about the material, and just to make sure that it is something that was designed for and intended to be weather resistant. They acknowledged, as the building owner, that they would probably have to do a lot more maintenance on it than they would if it was a masonry material. But that wood material, which was in the area above the first floor facade, was approved by this board.
Okay.
And is there any authority from either this board or the city, 20 years down the road, how that looks? If it does deteriorate, you could probably make that case for any structure, any design. It takes proper maintenance to maintain it, but if it
Yeah,
were-
we have only limited authority. Something would have to become a nuisance or something virtually falling off, or having holes in it or something before the city could step in and say that the maintenance is failing. But we're just calling that attention because generally a wood exterior is going to require more ongoing maintenance than a masonry material.
Okay. I'm going to keep that to myself. Okay, I'm good. Does anyone else have questions for Dean? Okay, can we hear from the applicant?
Architect for Doug Stein and the First Harvest Wealth Management Group. To answer some of your questions, I think I'll try and answer them all if I can remember them. I can only handle 3 variables at a time. The light fixtures have not been selected yet, but they're going to be a simple, non-accentual detail that's just going to bring some uplight and downlight to wash the wall. So it'll be a very simple box-type light fixture. They'll be not as pronounced as the big blue fixtures to the south. As far as the wood goes, yeah, we're trying to. It would be more historical to have the wood. We understand it's going to be more of a maintenance issue. This building is owned by the owner. That he'll take pride in that building. We don't want to. I think the beauty of a downtown is to have a little variety. So we want to have a little bit of uniqueness. If I could just show you this picture here, where the design concept came from. I don't even know where this is at, but this is a building that's the facade that he likes that look. And so we're trying to do that. And we realize the maintenance is an issue, but we do want that uniqueness, and we do want that quality, that warmth of a wood bulkhead, and I think that would look good for downtown.
So can I, before you move on to
Yeah.
the next thing, can I ask, so what does the maintenance look like in order to keep the wood in a like new appearance?
Yeah, it'll have to be treated, and that treatment, whatever that is, will have to be applied periodically when it starts to weather, when it starts to wear off, just like a
Not
just like your
dissimilar to
deck.
painting? I mean, I'm just kind of trying to
Like a
understand.
wood deck, like a cedar deck, you have to maintain that, or else it stains. So I would assume it'd probably be something that has to be inspected by the owner on a yearly basis.
Like a
or whatever.
sealant type thing?
Yeah,
right?
like a sealant, just to preserve it, keep it watertight. The signage, yeah, we want to include that in with the approval process here. It'll be a freestanding sign. We haven't worked out the details with the sign company yet, but there's the chiropractor downtown. I think it's on the 100 block of South Santa Fe. Has a similar deal with the glass block exposed and a surface-mounted signage. So it'll be something like that. You'll see the brackets will be attached to the brick. So the whole idea there was to preserve, maintain, bring back to life that glass block that's across above the steel beam to let in some natural light. It's pretty cool looking glass block, and Doug's got somebody that'll come in and preserve all that, bring it back to life.
How will that sign be lit?
It's going to be a backlit, where there's access from the back to that glass block. There's a whole cavity behind that, so it'll be backlit, so you can. It's not going to be an illuminated sign. It's going to be a freestanding solid sign, but it'll be backlit from the back.
glass blocks, behind the glass blocks?
Yeah.
Is that- okay.
The other option is to put some LED strip lighting around certain features of it to light it, but it's not going to be a neon sign. Is that,
Right.
you know
Does
what I'm
the,
saying?
Dean, does the backlit that fits into the?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
The guidelines actually express a preference for backlit
Backlit,
signs as
okay.
to fully illuminated signs. So
Okay.
illuminated sign means that all the letters are lit. Backlit means the letters are static, but there's light cast on them at night so that they become more visible.
Okay.
What was the other items?
Yeah, I had a question about the upper story windows. I guess from the plan, it looks like they're very, very similar, if not identical in appearance, but I just had a question about the replacement of the upper story windows.
I think we're not going to replace them. We're going to leave them as they are right now. So
Thanks, they-
that's probably,
They had just been done.
it's been
Like
done. I think they were old
years ago,
wood.
maybe?
They were wood and they kind of
Yeah.
deteriorated.
They needed it then.
They needed to be replaced. They were leaking. So we're going to leave those as they are.
Yeah.
So is the color of the stain on the front facade similar to what you
Yeah,
have
we're
in
going to try and follow that design.
that
I think that's a
color.
very handsome, very good look. I don't know if my render did it justice on that picture you have, but that's the idea, is to give it a warm look to it. I mean, that's about all.
The only other question I had is the new store entity on the parapet, are they carving into the stone that's there, like at the top?
Oh, the Stein at the top.
The Stein, I was just curious, and that's just more of
Well,
curiosity?
there was an existing one there that no longer exists.
Okay.
We were going to put Bieberly there, but it wasn't big enough, so we're going to put Stein, the owner of the building, name up
Okay,
there. So-
okay. I
Well,
was
if you-
curious.
I don't know if you can zoom, if you drive up there, you'll see that it looks like it chipped off or weathered off or something, so
Mm-hmm.
it would just make more sense to replace that, you know, I mean, it's kind of a small little detail, but it's a nice little detail.
Mm-hmm. That's the only questions I had.
Yeah.
Did that get all of staff's questions
Yes,
answered?
we got the questions about the lighting, and we did interpret this as requesting approval of the wall sign as well, which that is the way we approached it, and we would, unless you want to separate it out or have a deferred review, our plan would be that if the sign permit comes in and it's consistent with this appearance, that we would issue a sign permit based on your review, so.
Okay, do we need in any sort of motion to talk about the backlighting, or will that kind of be reflected in the minutes?
That will
and-
be reflected in the minutes and then in our permit review.
Is the black trim also wood that's around?
Yeah, those columns would be
That'll be
wood.
wood as well?
Yeah. They don't necessarily have to be, but I think whoever does the millwork for all this will probably have them do the same. It'll be painted to look like steel, I think, basically.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? No. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we provided options on the page 6 of your report, which would be to approve a certificate of compatibility for the exterior renovation project. And we're interpreting that renovation project to include the wall sign, the backlit wall sign. You could approve the certificate of compatibility for this project, subject to any conditions approved by a majority of the board. You could postpone consideration of this application in order to acquire additional information concerning the proposal, or you could deny the application as presented. Our recommendation would be to approve this as proposed with our standard conditions, that if there's any significant changes to the proposed renovations to the building facade, we'll be notified and we'll determine whether additional review by this board is required. And if you wished to have an additional condition or something to just clarify that the wall sign needs to be backlit and not illuminated, then that could be a possible second condition under number 2.
does anyone have discussion or would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for option number 1 to approve as existing with the conditions of the backlit sign, as well as make the edit of removal of the top windows is not going to take place.
Okay, would you like to add that if there's any significant deviation?
I do. I would like to amend my motion. Significant changes to proposed renovations to the building come back to this group for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
We'll clarify that we will not consider adding the word Stein to the top of the building to be a sign. That would just be an architectural element, so that does
I think
not,
it's a beautiful design.
that does not
so.
require sign permits.
I like it.
Just for the record, I'll also just confirm that we don't have anyone from the public on Zoom or in the
Sorry.
room
Sorry,
to speak on it. Just so that
still new to this.
that's all right. Just so that in the record we note that.
Okay. Okay, there are, I see no administrative items or preliminary discussion items.
Yeah, for preliminary discussion items, I did find some of the information that John Berger and I had put together on demolition by neglect, and we promised the chair that we would bring something back just to share what had been discussed before. And so we will have, it won't be an action item, but it'll be a preliminary discussion item for future agenda. As far as other business, we're going to give you Thanksgiving Day off and not meet. That would be the fourth Thursday of the month, and so we're not having a meeting that date, but we do have a meeting the second Thursday in December, which is December 8th. And at this point, we're up to 4 agenda items for that agenda, and there's still a possibility of one additional one.
Wow.
2 of them deal with the Lee Lofts, 1 of them deals with the Salina Arts Center, and 1 of them deals with signage for the relocated Ad Astra bookstore. So that's what we have at this point in time. And as Mr. Manley is aware, the City Commission did approve the transfer of ownership of the arcade in the 200 block of South Santa Fe to First Bank so that they can move forward with their plans for modifying that arcade. And so your recommendation and the minutes from your meeting and all were provided to the City Commission, and that was helpful to them. So they did act on that Monday. So I think that's the only other business we have for you this evening.
Okay. So number 4, is that what were we talking about, unfinished and other business there?
Yeah, that was our other business.
Okay.
So the public
Public
forum is
forum.
whether, has Leslie Bishop signed off, Dustin?
Yes, she has.
Okay.
So there's no one from the public to,
We don't appear to have anyone on the public here that wishes to address you in a public forum, so that would bring us to considering adjournment.
Okay, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.